Welcome to the monthly Notary2Pro Roundtable Discussion. We are going to be diving into low-cost, high-impact ways to market your loan signing business today. Let me see.
Awesome.
All right, so our speakers, as always, well, not as always, but normally, we have Michael Ray, Notary2Pro CEO. I'm Sabrina Ingolstadt. I am the Senior Marketing Analyst with Notary2Pro. We also have our wonderful faculty members, Andrea Dulling, and Stephanie Rowland. Thank you guys for being with us today.
Okay.
So today's topic, super important. We're really happy we can all be here today and talk about it. It is low cost, high impact ways to market your loan signing business. So we'll also have a similar topic next month, but for this month, we're going to be diving in to signing services, notary databases, and signing platforms, and some pros and cons for notaries and loan signing agents. And then also discussing how to branch out into general notary work. So make sure you introduce yourself in the chat, and we're very happy you're here today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Sabrina.
Of course.
By the way, going back a page, I really love the graphic. This just is inspirational, isn't it? Look at that, all that creativity right there on the photo. I love this. Okay.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And I think that kind of sets the tone, right? We sort of need to think about how to be creative. We're focusing on this topic primarily because for most of us, business is a little slow. It hasn't come to a stop, but it's slow these days because interest rates have climbed. The real estate market and the refi market is a little slow. And so you've got to be a little more adaptable and flexible and creative about how you go out and obtain business. And Sabrina, if you wouldn't mind, introduce us to this slide here and how you're highlighting sort of avenues for new business.
So when you first become a loan signing agent, it can be overwhelming to see all the different terminology and like how to get your information out there, how to get signing different companies to sign you. So what we want to break down is these three main ways to market yourself. That you will come across signing services, notary databases, and signing platforms. And so this is just highlighting their definitions a little bit and how they differ, and then we'll go into detail of each one. So a signing service or company is essentially a middleman. So these are the companies that market themselves to mortgage companies, title companies, and real estate agents to subcontract their loan signing and closing appointments to individual loan signing agents. So they're going to be the ones, they act as a middleman, and they're going to be the ones paying you. So they're going to take like a percentage of the notary fee, and then they're going to give you the rest. And this is normally agreed upon beforehand. Then we have our notary databases, which these are more like, you can compare these to like the Indeed or Monster.com. So this is a place where you could put in basically your resume. So your availability, the services you offer, what your credentials are. And this is a place where notaries and LSAs can market to people who directly need their services. So normal people like me and you could go onto these things and look for someone to conduct our notary services. And then lastly, we have the signing platforms that are similar to databases, but they kind of bring the signing service and the notary database together. So it's a place where notaries can put their information into this database, but it also allows for signing agencies and title companies to sign up and send orders directly to these notaries on the platform. So they're all great to have. I'm sure Andrea and Stephanie are familiar with all of them, but this is just a little quick breakdown on what they mean and what their uses are. So
great.
Sorry.
So that is a lot, but it's useful, I think, to think about. And let's start with right at the top of the page, signing services. I think this is sort of obvious, right? Most of us work for signing services in one way or another, right? We have clients that are signing services. Andrea, Stephanie, I see you guys nodding.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so tell me a little bit, or tell our audience a little bit about, you know, the pros and cons of working for a signing service and how you develop that relationship.
So one of the pros, obviously, is that the signing service is a middleman. So they have their cut as well. So of course, if you're going direct, then you are working specifically with that title company or the escrow company. So there's no middleman. So you are receiving the entire fee. Whereas a signing service, they have employees they have to pay, they have the platform. And so you may not be receiving the full amount that you generally would receive if it's going through a title company. However, signing services are still great to work with. There's some really good signing services out there. I'd say the first one that kind of comes to mind would be like Service Link, and there's a whole lot of signing services out there. But that to me is like the downfall, but they're doing all the marketing for you. They have the connections with the title companies and the escrow officers. And so all they're doing is kind of pushing out appointments and checking your availability. And if you agree upon the fee that they have to offer.
So in short, you're sharing a part of your fee, but in return, you get volume. You get regular work, especially if you've built your reputation with that sign.
Yes, and on that back end as well, they have the ability to notate information about notaries. So if you're a very good notary, then you can be marked highly preferred on the back end, and other companies can see that. On the opposite end, if you are not doing your due diligence and you're not that good, then they can see that as well. So you just want to make sure that you're on your P's and Q's when doing work for any company for that matter, but just know that there are things on the back end that you may not be able to see.
So reputational things and evaluations. Okay.
Right.
That's an interesting topic, and we should circle back to that. But Stephanie, talk about your experience with signing services, and I'm assuming you and Andrea both use signing services. How is your experience with them?
Well, that's how I got started. I marketed myself to all the signing services on Carol's list and also on Notary Rotary. And that is very hard work. To me, that was the hardest part of getting started in this line of business. Because you have to be prepared for a lot of rejection as well when you market yourself, and that's just par for the course. And none of us really like to be rejected. But so I use signing services, but not as much as I did in the beginning. Mostly, I work with directly. Some of the title companies that I work with directly also have signing services. Well, I don't want to really name any names right now, but do you agree with that, Andrea, as well?
Yeah.
So so title companies built a database of notaries that they use to do signings, and then they opened up a sideline as a signing service, right?
Right. Like, for instance, I'll throw one out there. Old Republic Title.
Okay.
They're a title company, well-known title company, but they also have a signing service. So
and they're nationwide.
They're nationwide, and so even though I'm working directly for them, they're still taking a cut of my pay. So you're not going to get the full amount you would see on a closing disclosure. Well, normally you don't get that full amount anyway, but sometimes you do.
So in essence, even though you're contracting with them directly to do the closing for their closings, they're taking a cut of your okay, all right.
Right.
On the other hand, they keep you a little busier than maybe a smaller player.
Depending on if they have a lot of work in your area, some of them do, some don't.
Okay.
Yes, it really depends on the market and what's going on in your area. That justifies how much business a company may be giving you. So like right now, you've already mentioned it's kind of slow. So it's been a while since I've heard from Old Republic. It's been a few weeks since I've heard from them. So it just kind of depends.
Now, A quick question. The signing services tend to do signings for loan signings or general notary work?
Loan signings
Loan signings, almost exclusively, is that right?
or single page documents every once in a while, maybe
Mhm.
just, like a quick claim deed or something like that,
Okay.
or
Or
an
loan
interspousal
modification.
deed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about this is they pay you, right?
Mhm.
The signing, your check comes to you from the signing service as opposed to the title company.
Correct.
Do they pay you faster? Is it at least better in terms of accounts receivable and managing your money?
It depends. So that is a good question. To find out if you're accepting a job from a company, you want to find out what their net pay range is. Some are, within like, for instance, AmRock pays every single week. I think BankServe pays like on the 16th, first and the 15th or 16th of each month. Some pay 30 days out, some pay 45, some pay 90 days or more. I stay away from those companies.
You're waiting a long time to get your money.
I'm still waiting on payment from a company I did a job for in the middle of November.
Wow.
But that's not usual.
Yeah.
That's the exception.
That's yeah.
Can
And so,
I ask?
like,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Like Stephanie said, it's really dependent on the company. For example, like she said, AmRock, they're weekly, but Notary Go is like 45 to 60 days.
Wow.
Whereas you can go direct if you had a company, a title company in your area, and as soon as you turn in the documents to them, they're handing you a paycheck. So it really depends on the company that you're working with, how fast they are with paying you your fee.
Right. And
So
Old Republic Title pays pretty quickly, because I think I did a job for them last week. I already got paid.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's not just the amount of time it takes to get your payment, it's the fact that you have to track it over a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
And it's, it's just one more thing to have to account for, right?
And that's why it's good to have some very good accounting software that will flag you if you haven't been paid in like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You can set it for that. That will give you an alert.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to be tracking this with Post-it notes.
No.
Right. Okay. And we are going to do a recorded roundtable again this year on taxes and accounting for notaries in the next 30 days or so. So good point. So they take a percentage. Is it a percentage or a fixed fee? Typically, when you're doing these, how do they determine how much they take out of your signing?
That's a good question.
Yeah. No clue. They don't tell you.
No.
They don't tell you. They only tell you
did.
what you're getting, or do they even tell you that?
Yeah, they'll tell you the fee.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
And
agreed
sometimes
upon
you
fee.
can negotiate, but a lot of times you can't.
Is it harder to negotiate right now?
Yes.
I'm not having well, it depends. I mean, yeah, some companies won't budge whatsoever.
Okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, even to get $5 extra out of some people, some of the companies is like pulling impacted wisdom teeth. I'm not kidding you.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
terrible. Impacted,
But
not just
then
wisdom teeth, impacted wisdom teeth. Okay.
I know, because I've had that done.
Okay.
yeah, it's crazy. But then there are some companies that recognize your worth, and so they're willing to give you your regular fee. But I had a company send me a message the other day. They emailed me asking if I was willing to lower my fee to get more business from them because other notaries in my area
Please.
are
Okay.
lowering their fee. And I'm like, no.
Yep, I'm with you, Andrea.
No,
Yeah,
I'm with you
you're
on that
sticking to your
one.
guns.
that's
Mhm.
right.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. I mean, I think when you know what you're doing, right, and you've established a track record, I think that's a good strategy. Otherwise you just risk, for them, it's rather foolish as well. It's a race to the bottom, right, in
Mhm,
terms of service and quality. Well,
absolutely.
the signing services are, in some cases, large organizations, right? But do you develop a personal relationship with the people who funnel you business, even for a signing service?
Yes,
Yeah, so you know
absolutely.
the people who are assigning the cases or the work.
Oftentimes I know them. Sometimes I'll get a call from a new rep from the company or something like that. Now, if we're talking about a big company, like for example, Amrock, I feel like more often than not, it's a different representative.
Yeah.
So I can't build that relationship with them. But there are some companies where I can tell by the sound of their voice and what they're saying that it's the same person I've communicated with. And so I do try to form that relationship with him or her so that hopefully if they get something else in my area, they know, hey, call Andrea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that case, it's no different than, say, your favorite title company or a local escrow office, right? That you've developed a relationship with, a loan agent or so forth.
Mhm.
So Stephanie, at the beginning of this discussion on signing services, you talked about how difficult it was to go out and market yourself to signing services. What made it, two questions, what made it so difficult, and is it worth it?
Absolutely, it's worth it. Well, so when you're marketing to signing services, it's via email or calling them. And so for me, like I would set a goal to do, maybe sign up with 5 companies a day when I first started. And then I'd let a couple weeks go, sometimes a month go, and then do a follow-up phone call to make sure that that my name and they had all my credentials in their database. So that's very important. The follow-up call is crucial to make sure that you're in their list of notaries, and also to develop a relationship with the schedulers. That's really important.
Okay.
So it's just very time consuming, and a lot of times you will get no answers or no follow-up email, or they don't answer the phone, so I mean, it gets very tiring sometimes, and it's I found it to be very draining because I put my soul into it. I was working hard, and it was very draining for me. I'm just being honest. It's hard work.
No, we appreciate that. Andrea, any thoughts to add?
Yes, I did find it draining because I had a goal of, I think it was like 15 in a week. And that was my goal, but then there was another goal in my mind that said I need to go more than 15 a week.
Yep.
And so I used this directory that I had that had over 300 signing companies, and it had their websites on there. So if you're really doing that and you're trying to learn all these different websites and how to upload everything, and I must say, when I first started out, I was not as organized as I should have been. So I should have had a folder that had all those important documents in there. But I found that I was going to this file to get this and this folder to get this. And after a while, I realized that everyone's asking for the same thing, but every signing company requires something different. Their platform is different. So you're learning it, and you're going to all these different websites and trying to figure out how to upload all these documents. And it sounds easy, but some days it was like, okay, I'm tired and I've only done 3 because these 3
Sure.
companies all wanted something different. They had a specific contract that you need to fill out, and they had
Right.
this. It was just, it was a lot. But
Yes,
if it wasn't for me doing all of that work in the beginning, I certainly could not say that I
Mhm.
wouldn't have the business that I have now.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of work, but it certainly paid off.
Okay. I just, one of the questions just popped up, and Andrea, you mentioned having a folder when you reach out to all these, and by the way, both of you, just let me say, it's obvious when you talk about the effort that you put into this, why you've become, in parts, why you've become so successful in the industry. You really applied yourself. This wasn't a casual effort, right?
no.
But, and Andrea, you mentioned you should have put together a folder. So what are the kind of things that those signing services or title company are looking for when you sign up that our audience should have ready for these kind of applications or contacts?
Okay, so obviously you need your notary commission. You need to have a copy of that. You need a copy of your driver's license, front and back. You need your E&O insurance, a copy of that. Let's see, what else do you need? Your background check. It's
Mhm.
best to have a brief bio of yourself, so when you go on the platforms, you can upload that, and that's already ready to go. Let's see, what else do you need?
Bond
Stephanie?
insurance, a
Uh-huh.
W-9, make sure you have a
Oh, yeah.
W-9 with your EIN number. Don't use your
Mhm.
social security number, get an EIN number.
Mhm.
And make
Okay.
sure it's actually signed. In the
Yes.
beginning, I had one that was an electronic signature.
Mhm.
And the company, I went through this whole rigmarole, and in the end, they said, oh, the problem is you didn't actually sign it, you used an electronic signature. So make sure
Yeah.
it's signed.
Mhm.
Do they
Um,
expect a resume or
No, just a bio, pretty much.
just a bio? Okay.
Just a
Do you
bio.
mention Notary2Pro graduate?
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's the
Okay.
other thing. They always ask about your credentials and all the
Yeah.
certificates that you have. You want to make sure you have copies of that so you can upload it.
Right.
There are
Right.
quite a few companies that their preferred notaries are Notary2Pro notaries. So make sure you have that.
Right.
Great.
Also, if you're on signingagent.com, make sure you print off that profile and have that, because that has,
Mhm.
that's a gold mine right there.
Mhm.
Perfect. Great. Thank you guys so much. Let's why don't we page forward to what is the next tool? Oh, notary databases. So help us understand, what is a notary database? It's literally just a list. Is that it? A current list? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe a not so current list?
Yeah, and typically you'll see notary databases kind of combined with these signing platforms.
Okay.
But sometimes they are on their own. So like an example would be like Notary Cafe is a notary database, but it is also a signing platform.
Okay.
So this is just, I'm sure Andrea and Stephanie can speak to it, but it's where notaries can go and just list all their credentials, what they can offer and where they're at and like their hours and stuff like that.
Okay.
Right.
Any suggestions on these, or do you use them? Do you have your listings?
Yep.
Absolutely. I suggest signing up for all of them as long as they're free. Because that can be used for anything. It can be used for general notary work as well as loan signings.
Right.
So if anyone is just looking for a notary and they happen to type it into Google and Notary Cafe comes up, they'll find me. You can put in there the area you're looking for a notary and so forth. And so it's just a free added feature that you don't, once you put it on there, you don't really have to do anything other than periodically update the information.
Yeah. And most of the times, reputable notary databases will have paid and free options for listing yourself. So,
Right.
And is there any reason to do the paid in in the opinion of our esteemed panel?
So for notary databases, I think I've gotten quite a bit of work off of Notary Cafe, and that's only $36 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Notary Rotary, I get calls from title companies all the time, and that's $99 a year. So that's
Okay.
pretty cheap. One closing will pay for that.
And those are the top two. So those are used a lot, especially if people who don't use the newer kind of technology or they don't know, like loyal customers stick to those websites. So you will get work from those loyal customers.
123 Notary is another one. That one can be pretty spendy depending on he has different like levels, I guess, you know, and it can be some notaries pay more than $500 a year for that. I personally don't pay for that one because, well, I have my reasons.
Yeah, and Lori actually she advises not to use 123 Notary for several reasons, but yeah.
There's some comments, Sabrina, in
I'm
our
with
chat.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
I use Notary Cafe and Notary Rotary. I think when I first started out, I used the 123, and then eventually I backed out. But I do pay for the other two.
Yeah, and in the comments they say it's known for hacking, and sometimes it just doesn't work correctly. So, like Lori said, just make sure you do your due diligence and your research on which ones to use.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of old too.
Yeah.
Let's see, is signing agent a database? Yeah, it kind of is. And that's, I think that one gets linked to SnapDocs also. If you do your background check and your yearly certification exam, then you get a free signing agent listing with that if you order it through the NNA.
Great.
So a lot of title companies will use signingagent.com as well.
Okay. Helpful. Thank you.
Okay. And then our last thing, we can go through it, is just, you guys are probably well aware of these are signing platforms. So like we said, they're similar to databases, but they combine their purpose with also allowing signing agencies and title companies to sign up and send orders directly. So these are like snapdocs.com. This is Notary Cafe as well. And you're probably more familiar with a signing platform, but do you guys have any comments on that?
I like SnapDocs. I don't get too much from Notary Dash.
I stay away from that one as well.
Okay.
Yeah. SnapDocs has kind of dried up for me lately. I love those days when SnapDocs was ringing my phone like ding, ding, ding. I mean, they would get so many notifications. And so at one point, probably a good 50% was coming from SnapDocs, whereas now I haven't had accepted an appointment from SnapDocs in quite a few months.
Is that just a change in the market, or are you finding that people are not using SnapDocs? What do you think that's?
I think it's a little of both.
I thought something happened where with SnapDoc, I read on some of the notary forums that they were being investigated by, I better not say unless I know all the information.
Yeah, we don't want to spread false information, but yeah, so suffice it to say that we should probably look into what the situation is there.
Have you guys heard of BankServe? Someone asked in the questions, BankServe?
That's a signing service.
Signing service. Okay. You guys use it?
That's actually a service.
BankServe is a company that is owned by Fidelity National Title, and so mostly they work with title companies within their own network, meaning, you know, they have to be like, isn't it Fidelity
approved?
Approved, yeah.
So
and I like BankServe, but
I do too.
It was a lot that I kept hearing, you need to be Fidelity approved, you're gonna get so much business, da, 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 da. And so then I get it. And, and then on top of that, BankServe, they only approve signing agents like the first 3 days of the month.
Right.
And then
Okay.
you're doing this, you have to do a online interview, like a recording or a
Mhm.
recorded interview or something like that. And I'm thinking, I'm
Mm.
getting all stressed. And
Oh,
then when I
really?
finally get into BankServe, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, wasn't that, I did too, Andrea. I was a stress case and I almost didn't do it. And then I'm like, phew, I'm so glad I did because I got so much work from them.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
BankServe in the beginning, when I first started out, their notifications went to one notary and you had like 3 to 4 minutes to accept. Now it's a cattle call. So now
Yeah.
it's very difficult to get a signing.
Yeah.
Right now, especially since there's hardly any work.
When you say that, Stephanie, you mean that you have to be standing by and ready to jump on any
You
sort of
have to be
assignments?
right here with
Okay,
your hand on your phone.
okay,
You have to take your phone everywhere.
right. Not all of us choose to do that, right?
No.
So, okay. Now, Sabrina, you have a point in here about who covers the cost.
Mhm.
So is this a situation, since they're both sort of a, a matchmaker, so to speak, who is paying? I mean, does the fee of this comes out of the signing in some form, right? Who's
Mhm.
paying for that? How do you see that charge? Are you paying up front to register for
No.
this, or is it coming out of any work that you get, I guess is my question.
It depends, but like Stephanie said, it is coming out of the work that you're doing. They're not paying something
Mhm.
normally. And I just wanted to make that point that when you do a signing service, they're the ones paying you, but when you have a signing platform, they're not paying you. So I just
Good
wanted to
point.
make that point as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're literally just a matchmaker.
Yep,
Or they're the Tinder for notaries.
exactly.
All right. Okay.
Like with signing order, there are a bunch of
Uh-huh.
companies that come through signing order.
Okay.
And so I know that when
Mhm.
I accept an appointment with signing order, I'm accepting the appointment for the person that's listed at the top of that order,
Got
which
it.
is a title company or whatever the name is. I'm
Mhm.
not expecting my check to come from signing order.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Very good. Thank you for that. And you know what, guys? I think we're out of time.
We
Oh,
are.
really?
I think
Wow,
we
that was
actually went
fast.
over time, but we were having a fun conversation on this beautiful Valentine's Day. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and want to thank the audience for joining us, taking time out of their Valentine's Day to join us. We wish you all love and happiness. And Sabrina, thank you. Great job as always for putting this together for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much to faculty and Michael, you as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, you
Bye,
guys.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.